The golden rule of parenting 101, do not, I repeat, do not watch No Reasons in front of your child on a Sunday morning. Hello everybody and welcome to Nerdly Out Loud, the official podcast of nerdly.co.uk, the best British website out there for all your favourite news, reviews and interviews, mostly by me because I am awesome. We try to cover everything from the big budget to the low budget to the no budget, with a special keen interest on the independent scene, especially in Britain, because let's face it, we invented filmmaking. I mean, that's a bold statement. It's true though, isn't it? Yeah, it's true. We'll go with it. Please do hit the subscribe, hit the bell, the notifications and everything like that, and you will get told when we have a new episode coming out, or an episode that is just out. Also, this interview will be on our podcast. The podcast is on Podbean. You can get it on their app, but you can get it on many other third-party podcatching apps as well, including iTunes, which, you know, it's Apple, Spotify, Podbean, Stitcher, all of those fantastic places. And if you do happen to go on there and listen to the podcast, because you may get the full podcast on there's some stuff in the podcast interview that might not be in this video. There probably isn't. I might just be trying to sell it to you that way. But please do go and check it out. And if you do, rate, review, all that good stuff, do everything on here too, because it all helps out the algorithm, and the algorithm apparently is where it's at. That's what gets people to watch your stuff. Apparently it's got nothing to do with the content. It has got something to do with the content. If I keep bringing you good content, you will keep coming back. And with that in mind, yeah, so this is like an independent interview with the director Spencer Hawken, who has recently released, during the coronavirus lockdown number 3 in the UK, has released his movie No Reasons, a movie that he made a good few years back, but as is sometimes the way in independent filmmaking, there was a bit of background politics, there was a bit of shenanigans, and all this kind of thing, so it's taken a while for the movie to come out. The movie he made before this, which is kind of part of the same universe, connected story, but it's not the same thing, but it kind of is, sort of. So it's all part of the same sort of universe. So he made this movie called Death Walks years and years beforehand, getting a resurgence on Amazon Prime. People are watching it, and it's getting lots and lots of watches. People seem to be either reliving it or coming to it for the first time, which is fantastic. That's awesome. It's what you want to hear in the independent realm. It's so cool. So he thought, why not sneak out the second movie? Why not sneak out No Reasons? It's still there. I still have it. Let's put it out there and see what happens. So they put it out there. It's getting seen. People seem to be enjoying it. I don't know why, because it's dark as anything. It's a hard watch. I mean, not in a bad way. It's a very well-made movie. It's just that some of the subject matter, whew, yeah, don't watch it with kids around. Just don't do that. Watch it before you go to bed. That's a good one as well. Don't watch it if you're about to have your tea. Yeah, don't do that. How should you watch this movie? Just watch it. You're going to love it. Don't watch it with your parents either. That would be a big problem. So yeah, please do check out the movie No Reasons on Amazon Prime. We're about to get into the interview now in a minute with Spencer Hawken, the director, Daniel Smales and John Guerrero, two guys who are in the movie as well. They play some pretty despicable characters. The other characters in the movie, we have Mark Bannerman up in there. If you're a fan of EastEnders back in the 90s and 2000s, Mark Bannerman was Gianni DeMarco. I was a fan back then. Mark Bannerman is a pretty cool actor, so it's great to see him stretching himself and doing something completely different. Believe me, this is different. So then you also have Roland Manukian, who, if you've seen the low-budget British movies, The Rise of the Foot Soldier, dude's in all those movies, I'm pretty sure. The new one coming out very soon. I will be tracking down Craig Fairbrass because I want my interview. A lot of attitude for me. Sorry, Craig. So if you don't want to come on, that's fine. Daniel Peacock is in it as well. We love Daniel Peacock. He is a British legend at this point. The guys really give a lot of info about low-budget independent filmmaking, how it's done and everything like that, how they felt about the roles, because they're not playing overly easy roles. And yeah, so let's just roll into the interview, come back on the other side, and I'll do some housekeeping to take us out. So with that, interview in progress. who knows me and has listened to the podcast before will know that I got involved with the Romford Film Festival a little while back. Spencer is the creative genius behind that and got me on board, which was awesome. Lets me talk about movies, which I love. And yeah, so he has released a movie called No Reasons on Amazon Prime, which is getting quite the buzz right now, understandably so. We are also joined by John and Daniel, who are both in the movie as well, who play the a little bit too close to his student's teacher and the scummy journalist, Kevin from the Essex Mercury. Let's get into this. First of all, Spencer, Daniel, John, how are you guys tonight?
Groovy.
Very well, very well. All good.
No Reasons, Spencer, you've kind of mentioned this one a couple of times, very fleetingly when we've been talking, I shall say, because I was not expecting this. But first of all, let's just get straight into it, because I've known you for a little while now. And I used to think you were quite a nice guy. Where on earth did No Reasons come from?
So I have to be a little bit sensitive about this, because one of the characters is based on a real person.
Oh, wow.
And it's a person that has quite a high profile, not in the entertainment industry, but in the business industry. So it started off with him, and I thought, this guy is so despicable and disgusting. Someone should make a film about him, and it kind of started there. And then from him, I picked up a news story that was breaking, that was about a group of men in kind of middle England that were luring children into, or young girls into, prostitution. That eventually came to a conclusion about 7 years later, and meant that all of those people were arrested, were put in prison, I think some of them for as long as 28 years. So yeah, and that's kind of where it came from. And I think I said to you, the basis is kind of there. And then the rest of it was like, what is logic? And went in the opposite direction.
It's one of those things where, like, I started watching this, and it starts off like, I kind of thought it was going to go down this sort of Madeline McCann story type route. So I'm like, okay, I'm in for this one. And then, wow. So for anyone out there, the movie is on Amazon Prime. Please do go and check it out, if anything, just to see how British we can actually make a movie these days. So without getting in any spoilers, which would be pretty impossible anyway, because this movie takes about 20 million different left turns and goes to places you're not really expecting, what is the general plot synopsis of this film?
I'll answer that. So basically, a couple played by Mark Bannerman and Lucinda Rhodes, they have lost their child. She's been missing for some time, and over the course of the first sort of half hour, that time frame that kind of progresses on slightly, but it's a little bit hazy as to how long she's been missing, but we're talking like a couple of years. And it's just them trying to get their life back on track, and the kind of people that try and pull you back. So you've got a collection of some nice-ish characters and some not nice-ish characters who eventually pretty much all become not nice characters. And then obviously you get you find out exactly what's happened to the daughter. I can't really say anything else other than that. It's different.
So, talking about your nice-ish characters and your not nice characters, we have two, I don't know, borderline. I'm sitting on the fence with these two characters. Yeah, you're both pretty despicable. But when you guys got this script, or when Spencer came to you and asked you to be a part of this project, what was it that drew you guys to these characters?
So when Spencer first entertained this to me, I was quite naturally horrified mortified. And actually, Spencer won't mind me saying this, but I actually refused.
Nice.
It's something that I didn't think I wanted to do. Well, no, I did want to do it, and also didn't want to do it just because of the role in itself and also the controversy behind the character. But after lots of persuasion from Spencer, and then I thought about it, and plus the fact that I really wanted to be in the film, I then said yeah. And then I looked at the character in itself, and I just went with it. And I've done my best with it. And obviously, when I was filming the role, there was a lot of cringy moments because of the stuff that I had to do and the things that I had to say. But I sort of, I grew into it. But it was very difficult. But at the same time, it was challenging. And yeah, I mean, obviously, the rest is history. I don't want to go too much on what I do in the film. But yeah, it's something that I won't forget. Let's just put it that way.
Neither would I, believe me. Actually, first of all, can you just say it's Kevin from the Essex Mercury?
It's Kevin from the Essex Mercury.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so when I got a copy of the script, I remember telling it around to Spencer and just in somewhat shock horror. Unfortunately, I didn't actually get to go to the original reading. So I actually read it in the comfort of my own home. So my opinion was quite flabbergasted by pretty much what was going on in the script. Obviously I can't tell too much. I'm well known for giving spoilers, me. But yeah, I mean, it was out there. It was completely out there. And credit to Spencer for having the balls to do it. Yeah, it's quite dark. I think when I picked up the script and was looking at the character of Kevin, I think it was just because it was completely different from anything I'd done before. I think that's one of the reasons why I like the character. It took a while to sort of grasp it. I mean, I didn't sleep for the first night after reading it because I was like, oh God, am I doing the right thing? But yeah, I think in the long run, from a film perspective, I think it's done what it needed to do, really.
These movies can sometimes take a wee while to get out there and to get finished and be released. Spencer, I've spoken to you a little bit about sort of the behind the scenes sort of things and the reasons that this movie maybe took a wee while. But what can you tell us about the challenges for anyone who's thinking about getting into it or wants to do it? But what can you tell us about the challenges of making sort of an independent movie? And I guess more importantly is why release this movie now?
First thing I need to tell you is something that I'd completely forgotten about. So, and Daniel Smales, what I just forgot completely about was we did a table read, and the table read was after a lot of the cast had agreed to do the film, but had only been given an outline. Yeah. So I'm sat around this table. We went to BBC when it was at Shepherd's Bush. And we were all sat around a table. So bearing in mind, I've got these like legends there. We've got Daniel Peacock, we've got Vicky Michelle, we've got Rona Manoukian, and we've got Jesse Williams, who was at the time just 13. And we're reading this story, and of course Alicia. And we're reading this story around this table. And then I just remember, and I think it might have been Stuart Manning. I remember like looking towards him, and he was kind of like, he had his head in his hands like this, and he raised his head up and he looked at me and he just went, effing hell. And then like took the biggest drink of water that I've seen anyone ever take. But it was just it was a really nice thing to see. So that I quantified someone that much. So in order to why it has taken so long to come out, there was some like kind of ongoing internal politics, and which, to be honest with you, delayed it 2 years. But then there was just some personal stuff for me. I had like some health issues, and then my grandmother, who I was very, very close to, died. And then I got really focused on my job. And then there was the Romford Film Festival. And all these things kind of took precedent. In the background of all of this, there's this little voice. And it's going, no, get the film out, get the film out, get the film out, get the film out. And that voice isn't my mind, that's Daniel Smales. Who continuously at me, like, oh, have you seen that such and such has happened? This is a time to get the film out. Oh, blah, blah, blah. When you get no reasons out, and it's just like, oh, do you know what? For God's sake, let's just get it done. And then... so we made this other film, and John and Daniel were both in this film as well, called Death Walks. It's been on Amazon for 4 years. And then, weirdly enough, lockdown has been amazingly kind to Death Walks. It's not a good film. It's an okay film. It's not it's definitely not highbrow viewing. But for whatever reason, during lockdown, this Death Walks has had something like 68 million minutes of views from July through till December, but we don't really know the final figures for December yet or January. And it was just that resurgence. And while it's fresh in people's mind, let's sneak out the second part, because it's quite difficult to understand when you watch the two films, but the two films are connected. There is something in the two films that joins them together. And, me thinking I was being super smart at the time, making this new idea of films that inhabit the same universe but unconnected. So I wrote four screenplays, which was one which is about, I can't say about any of them really. One of them, because the thing being is, with any of them, you don't see what's happening till the end. No. The penny doesn't drop. Death Walks, people think it's a zombie film. It's not. No reasons people think it's something that it isn't. And then the next film was going to be called Road Rage, which I can say something about. It was about miscarriage of justice. But the three things connected together. And then there was a fourth film that was called Players in the Game, which was basically the Jigsaw edge. And the three films sat inside that jigsaw. Got 2 of the 4 films out there. And... who knows? We might get the other 2 out there at some point in time.
No,
the other thing being is that, and I should say, I had this amazing coup, right? And the amazing coup was that George Cole, Minder, agreed to be in the third film.
Oh.
So, I'm really chuffed here because I've got 3 films and I've got 3 big legends. So Death Walks has Francesca Ciardi in it, out of Cannibal Holocaust. No Reasons has Vicky Michelle and Daniel Peacock, 2 people that I was watched avidly as a kid. And then, of course, I've got George Cole and potentially Bridget Fonda. So we were this is happening. And then George Cole died, and then everything kind of just fell apart and we stopped looking.
You've told me once or twice that this movie kind of didn't necessarily nearly break you, but sort of took your enthusiasm down a little bit, and sort of taken this long to get it and everything. But now the movie's out, Death Walks has had a little bit of a resurgence. This movie's doing not bad so far from what we've been seeing. And do you think you would revisit and do the third and fourth?
I've been joking about this quite a lot. I don't know how serious I am, but I would like to make a kind of romantic comedy, and then I would like to, if there's some life left, then I would like to pick up chapter 3, and I think I'd have to, because the money's gone. We had when the thing being is, it's all very good stepping out of the film industry for a break, but then you become someone that's not necessarily someone that people want to bank anymore.
Right.
So you have to kind of go in on the basis that actually the next film that I make, I'm going to fund myself. And in making that film, hopefully I generate enough back so that I can do Road Rage the justice that it truly deserved.
We know that a Spencer Hawken movie isn't always going to be what you think it might be. So if you're going to do a romantic comedy, nothing better than a Nazi teacher and a sleazy journalist to be your main characters. I mean, I'm not going to lie.
Oh no, he just used the word, didn't he? I was waiting for that word to come, and he's just said it. Thanks for that.
Hey.
Thanks for that. How long have we been doing this? And it's oh yeah, and he's used the word. There we go.
Right. So anyway, right. I wanted to ask. You've mentioned a few people that are in the movie and everything, and there are some absolute belters in this film. Mark Bannerman at this point in time was kind of like at a decent point in his career and everything, and it's all going well for him. And, you know, he is Gianni DeMarco from the EastEnders fame and everything. How did you get him to take this role, given the trip this character goes on? Because I don't think you could have thrown anything else at this guy.
The weirdest thing in the world about this script, and this script was written 3 years before we shot it. So actually this film has been going on for now 10 years.
Oh, Christ.
When I wrote the script, Paul was always Mark Bannerman. There was never anybody else in my mind. It was always going to be Mark Bannerman. And then we shot Death Walks, and then I met Lucinda, and I said, who I really want for no reasons is Mark Bannerman. And she's like, oh yeah, I know Mark, I can sort that out. So Mark couldn't make the meeting, so I printed him a copy of the script and we posted it down to him. And he was staying with Martina Cole at the time.
Nice.
And I think what happened was he read it and I think he said, no, I'm not going to do it. And Martina Cole read it and she said, you have to do this.
Well, she would eat that script up.
And then he rang me and he was like, and this was the thing that surprised me, is I'd not spoken to Mark Bannerman before. So you see Mark Bannerman in EastEnders and he's like an East End lad. And then he rang me and he's like, oh, hello, Spencer. This is Mark here. I'd like to have a chat with you about this film. And I'm like, is this guy taking the mick? Is this Mark Bannerman? And yes, it was. So we went and we met up at like a little pub in Liverpool Street, the three of us, Lucinda, Mark and I, and we were there and we gradually got more and more drunk. And by the end of the drinking, he said, yes, I'll do it. He was looking for difference, you know, and the trouble being is a soap actor often ends up being like stuck as these people forever. They never get that chance to like go off and do something different. And the whole idea about No Reasons is everybody does something different to what you expect. You know, every single character is not something they would normally do. And that was the basis of it.
So talking about characters that would not normally do what they do, or actors that normally do what they would normally do, John, your character, I don't want to get too much into any sort of spoiler territory, but your character meets a certain final scene kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too much into this, but it's a really, really cool practical scene, by the way, Spencer. I absolutely got a kick out of this. How much fun was that to shoot, John?
Looking back, I loved it. It was it took a long time. I don't know how I can say this because I don't want to give a lot away. But I was pretty much in makeup for a long time. And the thing was that I was under pressure. And I was under pressure because basically we only had one shot of this scene. And I I was under pressure to get it right and for everything to work, because if it didn't, then that would have meant a whole retake and another 4 hours of being in makeup. So there was a lot of pressure, but we nailed it the first time pretty much. And I remember once it was finished, just a lot of adrenaline rush, because of how well that I felt that it went. And also because of the complications behind it as well, and a lot was involved in it. It was really good, and I enjoyed every minute of it. And actually looking back and getting memories of it, and it was great. It was great fun, and it was very messy. Let's just put it that way.
it's a great.
There was a lot of mess.
It is a great little scene, and it kind of makes you just sort of sit there and go.
Yeah, it's not really for the faint-hearted.
No, not at all.
When I watched it back as well, I had my hands over my eyes because I just couldn't believe what I was watching. Very, very brutal, because it just came from nowhere. You know, bearing in mind of that was the first sort of gruesome scene in it. It was quite a shock when you watch it. So let's just hope they enjoy it.
I think you're the first death, aren't you?
I believe, yeah, I am.
Yeah, definitely.
Because actually, when I watched it back, it was all nice. It was building. You know, you could see something was happening. You know, you could see it slightly turning, and then all of a sudden, there's just this. You just gave a spoiler away. I've just realised.
It is pretty much the scene that once it happens, there is no turning back. Like the rest of the movie is like scene after scene after scene of just sitting there and going, "Oh my god, why am I watching this?"
And I think that's actually the point. That actually,
yes, definitely.
I think from obviously then on in, it just goes mental. It just goes absolutely crazy. So really enjoyed that scene, I've got to say.
It looked like great fun to film.
It was brilliant fun, absolutely brilliant fun. You know, like I said, there was a lot of people involved, and we had fun with it. And like I say, we made a lot of mess, which was great.
There are some grim acts in this movie. It's the kind of movie it is. It's sort of like moves along, and some things happen. And the one we've just spoken about is probably the most. Well, no, it is the most visual, apart from maybe the very end. But a lot of what you do in this movie it's more suggestive than anything else, because what you can do in your head is far worse than anything you can show on screen, kind of thing. Was this a conscious choice, or was it a little bit of, you know what, we might be going a little bit too far here?
In terms of that scene, that was always a conscious choice. There needed to be this moment where the story flips, and I don't think I'm ruining it when I say everything gets a bit sore. As in SAW as opposed to SORE. And that was the intention, to like just create this like just this, oh, where the hell did that come from? And why did that happen? And I wanted people to think about the mechanics of how that had happened. You know, like, what does it take to make that happen? And how much do you have to dislike someone to do that to them in such a way? And that was it.
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing being is, met this amazing makeup artist called Justin Becker. And he was like, do you know what? This is great. I'd love to do this. I'd love to do this. And we could do this. So what I written isn't quite how it panned out. He added more. He added another dimension, you know, like, and when he's getting those hooks out, you know, like to do what it is that he's doing, I'm just like, oh, I didn't quite expect, I don't know what I expected, but yeah, those hooks weren't something I expected. We did have to shoot that scene twice, by the way. And the guy that loaned us the house to shoot that basically had to live for 4 weeks with a staircase just like soaked in blood.
Nice.
Because, so this is a really nice guy, Sing Lao. I'm going to name him because everybody that knows horror in the UK and does the festival scene will know Sing. And he he's got a family, you know, and they're all walking up this staircase, and it's just drenched in blood for, for like 4 weeks. Bless him.
It wasn't real blood.
No,
It wasn't.
well, you can hope so, based on the fact that you're here, John.
A lot of the worst acts in this film are kind of not seen, really.
Yeah, we've actually been talking about this, some friends today. We had a Zoom call, and we were talking about how you can frame a film in time by how graphic it gets in terms of what you see. And we were talking about how in the 1980s, you know, there were certain companies out there that were like, they read the script and it's like, where's the rape scene? You know, you need to install a rape scene in this. And then, you know, like, and then in the 90s, things kind of cleaned themselves up a bit. It was all supposed to be something that you thought about rather than saw. And with the exception of John's scene and the final scenes with Lucinda and Alicia and Mark, you were never supposed to see anything at all. It was, you know, completely down to the mind. But then Lorraine Stanley, Mark Bannerman and Jazz Lintott really messed that up by turning around and saying, that scene, which I think is probably the most disturbing thing in the whole film, that scene we're going to shoot. We have to shoot that. You can't just pan off. In order to get the impact, you need to show that scene. And I'm like, okay. And I remember being sat on the floor, literally on the floor, with my hand over my mouth, trying to direct something that I never ever thought that I would be directing. Like, can you imagine? I'm literally, when I say we have to shoot that scene, they told me we were shooting that scene 30 minutes before we shot it. Up until then, we were never going to shoot that scene. It was going to be alluded to, but never delivered.
Yeah, it tell you what, it delivers. It's like, yeah, I was already kind of towards the end, sitting there thinking there's not much else that can happen here. And then you throw that at me. So, yeah. But, you know, it's things like that get the reaction. It's things like that people are going to be talking about. I'm not going to say it's what makes the movie, but it's sort of, it is kind of what the movie's all about. And when it happens, you just kind of sit there and go, oh, please bring the credits on. Please bring the credits on. As we've mentioned before, you've got some fantastic actors and actresses in this. You've got the likes of Roland Manukian, as you said before, Daniel Peacock, who's a British legend, you know what I mean? Little Alicia Applebaum is fantastic, and I believe you can see her on the Netflix right now. So she's great in this film. What was it like watching all these people bring these mad characters that you had written and lived with, bringing them to life?
I can honestly say nobody, and that includes these two plonkers that we've got here now, nobody let me down. Everyone did what I thought they would do. Some people delivered above and beyond. You know, I mean, we've just mentioned that scene, and that was a surprise. And yeah, no, everyone just did a blinding job. And, you know, like Daniel Peacock, I mean, you know, that's what I wanted. That's what I got. And, you know, with the greatest of respect to everybody involved, you know, well done, Daniel, for being the only likable person in the whole film by the end. But the thing being is, Daniel Peacock, it doesn't matter what he does. He walks into a scene and you like him.
Yeah.
Whatever he does, he walks into a scene and he is liked and he is loved instantly. Mm-hmm. And yeah, just, yeah, mind-blowing. And then we've got these two sleazebags.
and you're talking about above and beyond, and not just the acting side of things. I hear, Daniel, you had a big part in sort of the post production and getting this sort of finished. What can you tell us about what you've been doing?
Well, I'll definitely say I've been badgering him. No, there was all sorts. I mean, like we've had to do a few little changes and things to get the movie onto like Amazon and things like that in that process. There was a lot of the media stuff, so like social medias. Been doing the posters as well. I also did the Death Walks one, and just slipped that in there. But yeah, no, it's quite a drawn out period of bringing out a film. I mean, it's definitely not without its challenges. I'll definitely give you that. But yeah, there's all sorts of different elements in the film process towards the end that was sort of needed at last minute. I sort of just stepped in and thought, like, let's just get this done.
I mean, you know, he's kind of underplayed that a little tiny bit, but he got the Facebook accounts verified. He got the Twitter accounts verified. He did all this funky stuff on IMDb that most people do not know how to do. Just like these little tweaks and these adjustments that, you know, if I say them to you, they seem like nothing, but they're actually incredibly complex. IMDb is not really a user-friendly environment.
No.
And, you know, he's in there like just, oh, yeah, I can do that. Oh, yeah. Oh, by the way, that thing you asked, yeah, I've done it. Yeah, done. Oh, done. Yeah, I've done that. Yeah, okay, done.
So do you share a bit of the elation to finally have it out then, Daniel? Do you share a bit of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great, to be fair. I mean, like, we've been talking about it being coming out for quite some time, and obviously there's a lot of discussions that happen in that process, but the fact that it's finally out and hopefully very shortly will be in the US as well. So, I mean, that's quite a thing for anyone that's involved in a film, especially if it's one of your sort of first roles that you've got a grips to something. And you could sort of fly with it in a way. But it's sort of my first, what I would call decent work for me, from an actor's point of view. But that's not me blowing my own trumpet or anything. That's just sort of like me sort of thinking, well, that's the best sort of thing I could have done with that character. I think there's more stuff like in the future I'd like to do. From doing No Reasons, there's it's sort of opened doors to sort of characters that I probably wouldn't have ever thought of. I mean, like, to be fair, when I read the script, there was that sort of like, should I do this? Should I not? But in the end, I think we all took that gamble. And I think in the end, for a film product, the finished product of the film, it was definitely worth the gamble.
Definitely, man, definitely. And that's quite surprising, because of all the characters, your character isn't really that bad. Yeah, he's a bit morally grey. So how quickly would you guys, you two actors, John and Daniel Smails of Kevin of the Essex Mercury, how quickly would you guys jump? How quickly would you guys jump back into the Romford trilogy if Spencer was to say, let's do it?
Oh yeah,
100%.
I would.
Yeah, no, I would. Yeah. You know, I've already had this discussion with Spence. I'd love to. Throw me in, Spence.
The wonderful thing being is the worst things that I could possibly do to them, I've already done to them. So things can only get better.
Exactly. Might give them a nice role next time.
Absolutely.
I never thought of it like that, actually.
So I do just want to say, like, I've seen the movie, I watched the movie. Spencer, I've spoke to you a little bit about it. I genuinely think this is a great little film. It's a gritty, British, kind of sort of takes you back to the days of the classics like Face and Romeo Brass and Dead Man Shoes, all that kind of thing. Really conjures up those kind of images. So really, I just want to know right now, how do you guys actually feel that this film is out? People are seeing it. It's getting the response it's getting, Spencer. I've seen people saying things. I've been reading some of these comments the last couple of days, and pretty much everyone agreeing with me, by the way. But how does it feel after 10 years you've written the script? 6 years ago you wrote it, 4 years ago you finished it, and now it's out. So how does it feel?
I'm still not entirely sure, if I'm honest. It's nice that it's out there. It's like a weight's been lifted, and there has been lots of conversation. I mean, you know Bradley, so yeah. I've tentatively talked with with Bradley about making a film. I'm now having actual, almost serious conversations about what film is next. Whereas if you'd asked me a year ago, I would have said I will never make another film.
Nice.
So something has happened. I think sometimes you need to put something, it's not the film itself, it's just life. The way life was around that period of time, life wasn't good. For a lot of people, there was a lot of bad things that was happening. So to sit on it almost seems like it was probably the best thing to do. And now it's out, and now people can discover it, positive and negative. But the one thing that is good is it's clicking, it's hitting the places I wanted it to hit. And I do enjoy reading comments like, this is not something I should be watching on a Sunday morning, or, well, you've ruined my day. And one person said, who I work with, said, I was that traumatized, I had to watch The Masked Singer in order to get some.
Surely that's trauma in itself.
So yeah, and that same person has been giving John kind of like sideways glances. And she's like, she can't get it in her head that this person that she knows really well is actually a complete wrong-un.
Have you been getting any more looks like that, John, when you've been going to the shops or anything?
Not yet, but I can see it coming. I've had like Spence said, one or two. And I just have to hang my head in shame. But only I have to remind him it's only acting. Let's just put it that way. It's not real life.
The way to think about it is, it's only acting. But if people are legitimately thinking that, then you banged, you smashed that role. You've done a good job, and that's what you were meant to do. So just look at them sideways for being thick.
There you go. Yeah. Again, I never thought of it like that. I will. I'll just call them thick.
Daniel, you going out for any journalism roles now?
Definitely not. They won't hire me.
I heard the Mercury's hiring. I know I keep saying that, but it's literally one of my favourite things. Is like every scene you turn, well, not every scene, but most scenes when you turn up, it's like, I'm Kevin from the Essex Mercury, and I'm just sitting there thinking, I wish I could just introduce myself like that all the time. What are you working on next? Anything you can tell us about that is on the other side when things go back to normal, or are we just enjoying the moment as much as you can, I guess?
No, I'm just enjoying the moment, really. Seeing obviously what actually happens with no reasons, and I'm just working obviously where I work at the moment, and we'll just see what happens. So I'm not looking too far into the future. We'll just play on. I'm just really blessed that Spencer's sort of asked me to be in these films, because ultimately I don't have a lot of acting experience, especially with obviously, I mean, Daniel's done a lot of work. Everyone I've worked alongside has had more than I have. So I'm just really thankful to Spencer, really, to even consider me to be in these films. So, you know, if it's left at these films, then we'll just leave it at that. If not, then yeah, we'll just see what happens. But yeah, I'm just truly grateful, to be fair. And that's
John, very quickly, just for amusement, tell Kevin about the what happened with the award.
Oh no! Have we got to go into this story, really? Okay, well, seeing as obviously Spencer's brought it up. So basically, the first film they asked me to be in was obviously Death Walks. It got mentioned before, and it got submitted to loads of film festivals. And I can't really believe I'm saying this because he's not going to let me live this down, but I'm going to say it anyway. And we got accepted for the British Horror Film Festival, which was at the Empire in Leicester Square. And I got nominated for Best Supporting Actor for that film. At first I thought it was a joke, but no, it was actually true. So it was a proper event. And the date that got released for that awards was a weekend in which I'd booked some tickets to go to a party in London. again, not actually thinking that this is a big deal, but actually it really was. And I said to Spence, I said, look, I can't attend. I've booked tickets to go to a party. And Spencer was like, well, you've been nominated for, best supporting actor. And I went to the party instead. And one of my biggest regrets, because I actually won. And there was an after party, there was champagne, it was a full event. And he rang me and he said, you've only gone and won. And and I was like, really? And I was on the other end of the phone. I had a pint in my hand. I was at a party, and I just wish, if I could turn back time, that I actually attended, because looking back now, and I've got the award at home. It's kind of nice, but no, it's just one of those things. I just wish I had. And Spencer has never let me live this down. Never.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Keeps on bringing it up and bringing it up. So that was a bit disrespectful to Spencer and that. But yeah, so that's it. So that's the story. Thanks for bringing it up, Spencer.
and Daniel, were you working away on anything when things go back to normal?
No, just sort of playing it along at the moment. I mean, like with COVID and everything, it's sort of impacted quite a lot of anything to be done.
Yeah.
And I'm just waiting for that glorious email from Spencer for the next film.
You never know. You never know. This is my Sean Connery moment, isn't it? Yeah.
I do like it. And like I say, if you're going to do that rom-com, journal and teacher.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I'm going to let you guys go in a little minute, but I've got a couple of little ones to just finish off with. I would like to go around the Zoom. What is everyone's, as you've watched the movie, without any spoilers, favourite scene?
I will say the very last thing you see before the credits, at the end credits, just because it lets you know that the worst hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
And that's nice.
That's how every movie should end, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Daniel, your favourite scene of the movie?
I would probably have said something along the lines of what Spencer said about the final scene, because that was quite, when I first saw that, because I wasn't there for that part of the shoot, and as soon as I actually saw the finished film, I was like, oh,
yeah.
I was like, I'd taken back by that. But I would probably say John's scene is one of my favourites because of how it was done. I actually do, because I was skeptical about it when I was told about it, and I was like, "Ooh, is that going to work? I mean, we've got such a small budget. Is this going to work?" And then the finished version, I was like, "Wow, you actually surprised me. It did work."
And John, yours?
Yeah, I've got to concur with them too. I did like the scene just before the end, because you're sort of left with your jaw open, and there's that sort of tranquil silence, and it gets you thinking. But one scene that I did like was near the end as well, without giving too much away, was a huge dispute between the daughter and the father, and an incident that happened on the stairs, which, if you watch it, then you'll know what I'm talking about. But generally, I mean, obviously the whole film, there are so many scenes in which you're sort of captivated by it. So it's really difficult to pinpoint, but those two would probably be my two.
As a man with 3 kids, you're a bastard, Spencer. So I'm going to let you go in a minute. Yeah, I'm going to let you go. But first of all, why don't you let everybody who's watching this or listening to this know where they can find you on the social medias and stuff like that, and where they can see your other work?
Okay, so probably Google my name, Spencer Hawken, and you will find everything pretty much. And then obviously both films are on Amazon Prime. And then what happens next? Who knows?
See, you've got me excited now. I want to see what happens next in this little sordid, sick universe that I never knew lived in your head.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely there. I mean, I will say the opening scene for Road Rage, which I think by telling you is nothing, was someone knocking on a door and being beaten to death by the woman that's on the other side of the door, stilettos.
Nice.
And that was like, I was like going for proper, like, I'm in my head, you know, like stiletto through the eye and, you know, all that sort of stuff. Nice stuff.
It's just mental, man, because we've been talking for like a year or two about some of our favorite movies and whatnot, and movies like that, and then you dropped that on me, and I was just kind of like, this is not the Spencer I know. However, I'm strangely drawn to it, and I do love it. And Daniel and John, where can people find yourselves?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, John Guerrero. You'll find me on Facebook, and if you go onto YouTube, put in Death Walks, no reasons. There's some stuff that comes up, and on Amazon Prime, yeah, you'll see both films on there. And yeah, that's where I am. Look me up.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, just Daniel Smills. It's all the one word.
of the Essex Mercury. So, guys, I'm going to thank you all. This has been absolutely fantastic. I'm going to start wrapping it up here. Please do, people listening, watching, however you're taking this in, please do check out the movie No Reasons on Amazon Prime. If you enjoy it, Spencer wouldn't recommend it, but do go and watch Death Walks as well and give that some love. And we might be able to get that third movie, possibly fourth movie. So I just want to thank you guys for coming on. This has been awesome. I genuinely enjoyed this film. I wasn't sure what to expect. I definitely didn't get what I was unsure to expect. It just went mad. I loved it. I did actually love it. And I know I've been sitting here talking about how dark it is, but there are some light moments. No, there's no light moments. So, guys, thank you for coming on. If you just want to say goodbye to everyone, and that we will wrap it up there.
No, thank you very much for your time. I really do.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you. Cheers.
Anytime, guys, anytime. I cannot thank the guys enough for coming on and doing that interview. It's not an easy film to talk about without giving spoilers, but it's also not an easy film to talk about. There are a lot of themes in there. I mean, I guess I want to write a review, but I'm not really sure what to say. It's a lot to unpack. Some stuff I'm not really sure how to feel about. It's still sort of ingrained. It's like when I went to see The Joker at the cinema. Ask anybody who knows me, The Joker affected me in a mad, crazy way. Like, it hits so close to home on many different levels. This movie, I'm not going to say psychologically it hit me there, but there's a lot in there that is just like, no, I didn't need that. I didn't need that on a Sunday morning. No. Thank you, Spencer. Good friend. But yeah, so do check the movie out. I really feel like it needs to be seen. I am proud as hell that Spencer's got this out. I started speaking to him about 2 years ago. I joined up with his film festival that he runs and does all the stuff behind the scenes for. I joined up with that festival. I'll probably be talking about that a little bit this year because there's a lot going on there. But yeah, just really proud that he's got this film out there because by all accounts, he had a bit of a time of it. I'm not going to say it nearly broke him, but I do think it took a lot of the enthusiasm, a lot of the drive. And as an independent filmmaker in Britain, you need that enthusiasm, you need that drive. Otherwise, just movies are not going to get made. And dude made a pretty solid movie. It looks good, it sounds good. I mean, sound is a very important thing. There are people out there who don't think it is. It very much is. If you sound like you're 3 rooms away having a conversation with somebody right beside you, I don't want to see that movie. So yeah, a lot of good stuff coming up. We've got some fantastic interviews coming up. I'm going to be knocking out some videos. I want to do a video review for Psycho Gorman, the new Shudder movie, PG for short. I genuinely... Yeah, I think that's going to be a video interview. I'm currently working on a Lockdown Nightmares list, which is going to be like the worst 5 movies that you could possibly watch on Amazon Prime during the lockdown Yeah, because there's some stinkers. There's some stinkers. Don't know what that was. But we will do all that. That's all going to be gravy. I am going to go now because this is getting a bit too long. Hope you check out this movie. And if you do, put something in the comments to let me know you saw it, what you thought of it. Give it some praise if you want to. If it shocks you to your very core, well, job well done. So Spencer will take that as a big thumbs up. So what we're going to do is we're going to head out. We'll be back very soon. I will see you on another video. Yeah, Nerdly Out Loud. Do all that good stuff. Subscribe, hit the bell. I can't say it enough. It helps the algorithm. And right now we are just getting started. So any help is good help. Yeah.